every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A warm welcome to you and thank you for joining us on CoreTV Prime Time News. I am Ebulomo Adekunle. In a major story, police halt plan by a civil coalition group to march on the presidential villa in protest over the abduction of Chibok girls. Also in this program, protests grow over abducted Chibok girls as teachers abandon classrooms for the streets across the country. Federal government extends national conference by 4 more weeks. And outside Nigeria, months of deadly political strife ends in coup as the military pushes out elected government in Thailand.
And in business news, Lagos State government means artisans and traders regrets loss of over 7 trillion naira in uncaptured businesses.
And in sports, injury threatens the appearance of Luis Suarez for Uruguay at next month's FIFA World Cup in Brazil. Over to Ebulomo.
And now the details on the primetime news. The plan by a civil coalition group to march on the presidential villa, Abuja, in protest over the abduction of the Chibok girls was altered by the police. The police blocked off the National Assembly junction with personnel and trucks and prevented the protesters from accessing the road that leads to the presidential villa. The police operation was led by the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Suleiman Abba, and FCT Commissioner of Police, Joseph Umbu. The coalition group, under the name Bring Back Our Girls, had earlier written to the presidency about its intention to take their daily protests to Aso Villa, but got no response from the authorities. The group, led by a former Minister of Education, Obi Ezekwesili, led the protesters wearing red T-shirts from the Unity Fountain along Shehu Shagari Way to the Federal Secretariat, where their march to the villa was cut short by the police. The crowd of protesters caused traffic jam along the ever-busy way, and policemen had to divert vehicles to other roads as the demonstrators took over the entire Shehu Shagari Way. Chanting solidarity songs intermittently, the group marched at the junction to the National Assembly, where they were addressed by the FCT Minister of State, Olajumoke Akinjide, who represented President Goodluck Jonathan. The group raised 10 poses for the presidency on the abduction of the girls and the security situation in the country. Among other things, the coalition asked the president why it took the federal government so long to seek for assistance from the global community, why the president is yet to visit Chibok since the abduction, the plans for the rehabilitation of Chibok community, specific actions taken after the Paris Security Summit, and whether the government would exchange the abducted girls with Boko Haram members in custody. The National Union of Teachers has embarked on a nationwide protest to demand for the abduction of over 200 schoolgirls abducted from Chibok. The protest has necessitated the closure of public schools across the country. In Ekiti State, the teachers took the streets in Ado-Ekiti. Rashid was there and filed in this report.
Joining other protesters across the country, teachers in Ekiti State condemned the abduction of the schoolgirls. Though no school was closed down, the rally attracted teachers from all local governments of the state.
Appealing and making making every effort for the Boko Haram to release the abducted Chibok girls. Nigerian Union of Teachers, including that of Ekiti State, are also lending their voice to the release of the abducted Chibok girls.
The union leadership in its communique says over 100 teachers lost their lives to different attacks by Boko Haram over the years.
These girls should be brought back to Nigeria alive and provide security for teachers who are working in those states. A lot of them have been killed. Up to date, we have recorded 173 casualties.
The teachers expressed grief over activities of the insurgents and offered prayers for the safe release of the girls.
Even though I don't stay or live or work in the north, but we all feel the pain of these girls being where their parents are not opportune to be. We are feeling the pain, and we are even nursing the pain every minute, every day. And that is why the majority of the teachers are here to register their protest against that dastard act that had been done by the so-called Boko Haram people.
We only pray that God will come to our rescue, that God will go straight to their source and dry up their source, and God will reveal all their secrets, or even all their hiding places will be brought to open, and God will put them into shame, and our girls, the future of this great country, our queens, our leaders be released unto us.
The global protests are aimed at putting pressure on the government to step up efforts to rescue the abducted girls.
President Jonathan is to do everything humanly possible within his power to secure the release of these students alive. We want them back to their parents as soon as possible.
And provide adequate security for teachers and students throughout the country.
The onus lies on the federal government and all relevant agencies to expedite action in the release of these girls, and by extension to give adequate security to all and sundry in the country, so as for Nigerians to have a sigh of hope and to be able to sleep with their two eyes closed. Rashid, CoreTV News, Adoeki.
In continuation of global protests to pursue the demand for the release of the over 200 schoolgirls abducted from their dormitory in Chibok, hundreds of women under the auspices of Zimbabwe Young Women's Network for Peace Building marched through the streets of Harare, the Zimbabwean capital, in solidarity with Nigerians. The protesters say the action by Boko Haram is unacceptable and an abuse of the rights of the girl child. They called on the words to ensure that the girls are released unharmed.
What we're saying is Boko Haram is an institutionalized face for a lot of issues that face women and girls in Africa. So what we're basically saying is that if you're involved in forced child marriages, if you're involved in any form of violence against women, you are also putting on the face of Boko Haram, and it should end now. We have a Facebook campaign. We're lobbying the Nigerian Embassy, Africa Union. We're also working with SADC and COMESA just to put pressure on the Nigerian government and also say those girls should come back. More efforts should be put so that there's a difference in terms of the efforts that are being made.
It is now significant to this occasion because all Africans, everybody in the world need to close hands together. We can stem it together, because what affects Nigeria as a country affects all African countries and indeed all over the world.
United Nations envoy for West Africa said Janet has condemned the double bombings in a market in Jos, which killed over 100 people and wounded many. Janet extended its solidarity and sympathy to the victims and their bereaved families, as well as to the government and people of Nigeria. It says the perpetrators of these heinous and cowardly attacks against innocent civilians should be swiftly brought to justice. The Boko Haram insurgency started in northeastern Nigeria in 2009. The group gradually spread its attacks to some other parts of the north. Some Nigerians believe that politicians in the north hold a solution to the worrying security crisis. Ekiti State correspondent Rashid spoke to some notable politicians from northern Nigeria. His report is presented from our studios.
There has been an increase in the number of bomb attacks by the Boko Haram group recently. Nigerians are daily being gripped with fear of a possible attack. Some have accused politicians from the north. Former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Nuhu Ribadu, is not at home with the rising profile and activities of the group, which he summed up as deadly.
Boko Haram is a tragedy that befell us and came unexpected, met us unprepared. I think the misfortune is that, we never expected it, we never understood it. So it brought this confusion about people, politicians. No. Those who are Boko Haram are there. You see them on TV. They are making their own statements.
For his part, former head of state Muhammad Buhari adduced the state of insecurity across the country to the failure of the PDP-led federal government.
We have an effective leadership in place, a government, so that the law enforcement agencies, including the military, do their job.
Even though both agreed that a solution is urgently needed to curb the deadly crisis, they however differ on the means of achieving the end result.
Since they came in, progressively the security and the economy has gone down. This is the experience of all Nigerians. No matter how well-intentioned you are inclined to them, they have failed. They have failed the country, they have failed the people. And it's up to Nigerians to make up their mind to get rid of them next year.
I will call on Nigerians to persevere, to hold on, to believe that if we stand together, we will defeat them, and that one day we will wake up and it will be history.
The increase in the number of attacks by the insurgents have necessitated the outcry for an urgent step to be taken as Nigerians pray for an end to the insurgency.
With over 200 abducted Nigerian schoolgirls still missing in the recent spate of bomb blasts, killing and maiming of hundreds of Nigerians, the question as to whether Nigerians can survive these mounting security challenges comes again to the fore. Human rights activists Malachi Ugumadu and Richard Amoa say that the incessant insurgent attacks on the country is a threat to the existence of the nation. In this report, Bid Okoro took them up on the burning national issues when they visited our Lagos studios.
When on May 20 a twin bomb blast ripped apart a market in Jos, the Plateau state capital, leaving over 100 people dead, it was clear to all that the terror attacks in Nigeria is not to be taken lightly. The country is still being joined by various armed forces from over 6 countries across the world to search for over 200 secondary school girls who were abducted on April 14 by the deadly Islamist sect Boko Haram. The prospect for our mental probe is: can the government fulfill its primary responsibility of securing lives and property of the citizenry? This human rights activist says the government should do more in ensuring the safety of Nigerians.
The kind of leadership we need presently in the country will be symbolized by a man who is in a haste. I appreciate that there could be less speed, more haste, less speed. I appreciate that. But given the peculiar circumstances that we find ourselves in the country at the moment, a laid-back president is unacceptable.
Recently, chieftains of the All Progressives Congress in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State blamed the People's Democratic Party's 15 years of misrule for the spate of insecurity in Nigeria. Richard Amuwa lent his voice to this condemnation.
Sincerely, going back to what the former senior advisor to the president, that late Aziza, said, it's obvious that Boko Haram is a product of PDP because they were in a particular government in Borno State. And it's just, we cannot deviate, or you cannot separate PDP and Boko Haram and the present government.
However, Malachi Ugumadu holds a different view to this assertion.
Whether PDP or APC, or we're saying what we're witnessing today is the final product of years of neglect, years of abdication of responsibility, years of wicked perversion of the due process, of years of denial, years of injustice, and decades of refusal to accept responsibilities.
When asked about the recent comment made by the Nigerian army declaring that without adequate funding, the army would not be able to halt the current activities of Boko Haram, Malaki has this to say.
A federal government that now has an army that turns against its commanding officers, as witnessed in Maiduguri. A federal government that has recorded the highest, or that has allocated the highest budgetary funds to the security, and yet sensitive strategic officers of the same institution are saying they are not equipped, they are not mobilized sufficiently to engage an insurgency sect.
While the Nigerian government continues to find a permanent solution to the insecurity issues currently ravaging the country, especially with some foreign military and security intelligence assistance, the times are no doubt challenging while hopes appear dim. The question still is, can Nigeria ride over the storm in its history and emerge a stronger nation with much more united people? Bid Okoro, CoreTV News, Lagos.
The Northern States Governors Forum has placed the Minister of Information, Labaran Maku, over his comment on the insurgency in the northeastern part of the country. It described the statements credited to Maku after the Federal Executive Council meeting on Wednesday as unfortunate. The chairman of the forum and governor of Niger State, Babangida Aliyu, at the opening of a one-day meeting of federal and state government security administrators in Minna, says it is very uncharitable. It is more than unfortunate if the minister's views represented the opinion of the federal government. Maku was quoted as saying the governors in the northern parts of the country were not doing enough to contain insurgency in the region. The Progressives Governors Forum has urged the federal government to strengthen the capacity of security services to ensure effective intelligence gathering in the country. In a statement signed by Chairman of the Forum, Governor Rochas Okorocha says there is need for the government to provide all the equipment and resources the security operatives in the front line needed to become an effective fighting force. Okorocha says it will enable the security agencies to carry out counter-terrorism operations more effectively. The forum says all avenues must be explored to ensure the safety of lives and property. The Progressives governors, however, advised Nigerians to stand firm and not relent to the antics of terrorists who sought to return the country to the dark ages. You're watching CoreTV Prime Time News. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with more stories. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ghana. Please remain seated and ensure your seatbelts are fastened. You can now turn on your MTN mobile phone data to enjoy a browsing rate of 5 kobo per kilobyte with MTN One World. Thank you.
Absolutely. Browse like home with MTN One World. Surfing the web from any MTN operating country costs the same like home. Enjoy affordable rates when you call and send text messages. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN. Everywhere you go. The global competitive map is changing with the rapid advancement of Africa. If you're not speaking to Africa this time, perhaps you're not speaking at all. Join the continent's leading public relations practitioners at the 26th edition of the All-African Public Relations Association Conference, APRA Mauritius 2014. Venue, Le Méridien Hotel, Point aux Piments, Mauritius. Date, 27th to 31st May 2014. Theme, Advancing Africa. For further details, visit www.afapr.org. Africa, it's time to find your goals. Supported by
this one wash challenge, you test Ariel to see if it removes stains in one wash. Let the challenge begin. First, chocolate and juice. We will wash shirts with Ariel. Look, Ariel has cleaned in just one wash. So which detergent removes stains in one wash? Ariel, P&G Everyday Quality Brand.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down. explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Thank you so much for being there with us on CoreTV Prime Time News. And for more information on our news and other programs, visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle, CoreTV News NG. Also on YouTube, www.youtube.com/CoreTV News. The People's Democratic Party says the governor of Kano State, Rabiu Kwankwaso, is not fit to govern at any level. Speaking on behalf of the party at a press conference in Abuja, the national secretary of the party, Wale Oladipo, says it was unfortunate that Kwankwaso could describe some governors in the PDP as vultures. According to him, the governor of Kano State, who is a former member of the party until he defected to the opposition All Progressives Congress, was wrong in pouring vituperations on President Goodluck Jonathan and governors elected on the platform of the ruling party. Oladipo added that of particular note was Kwankwaso's direct attack on the chairman of PDP Governors Forum, who is also the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Godswill Akpabio, and other governors who accompanied the president to the PDP Unity rally in Kano recently. The federal government has agreed to extend the lifespan of the National Conference by 4 weeks. The chairman of the conference, Idris Kutigi, a retired Chief Justice of the Federation, made this disclosure at the plenary while briefing delegates on the lifespan of the talk shop. Kutigi informed delegates that the leadership of the conference met with the secretary to the federal government, Ayim Pius Ayim, who conveyed government's decision to approve 4 weeks extension for the conference instead of the 6 weeks requested by delegates. Under the new arrangements, the conference will now end on July 19 instead of the earlier date, June 19, when the discussion had been programmed to last. Before the extension, some delegates had advocated the 3-month period allotted was not enough, but it is not clear whether additional budgetary allocation would be made in order to finance the extension. Students of the Lagos State University took to the streets to protest the hike in school fees. The students hijacked the bus rapid transit system, popularly called BRT buses, from their school gate to convey them to Ojota, where the protest took place. Tommy Ojo was at the scene of the event. A report is presented from our studios. We sincerely apologize for the mix-up in that report. Now we'll move ahead on the primetime news. The National Broadcasting Commission has released a roadmap towards digitizing the broadcast media. The deadline is June 17, 2015. Taminemi Speedbote has details.
Speakers at the event underscored the need for Nigerian broadcast industry to go digital. They also say that the benefits that accrue are enormous.
But fundamentally, digitization of the switchover is about the operators within the industry. So it is time that the operators take a more active role in decisions about business and about the future, something that will affect how we do your business, something that will affect how we all do our business. So it's important that we take a more active role rather than sitting back and expecting that this is simply going to be entirely regulatory-led. I thought that should be the beginning of this. In other words, let me set the tone for what will be the issues that we'll discuss.
When you compress, when you digitize, you now have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of exactly what you have now. You are struggling to cover 24 hours. Imagine 8 times that. So it's going to call in more persons, more brains, more talent, create jobs. The economy will grow.
Practitioners in the industry, under the aegis of the Radio and Television Workers Union, say they're facing so many challenges.
Radio and TV license should not be given to the local government. It should be given to NBC to distribute among the broadcast medias. We want to make sure that our workers doesn't lose out, even after the digitalization issue.
To me, I think the greatest challenge is public awareness, because we as stakeholders will sit here, say everything there is to say, but at the end of the day, the viewer who is the major beneficiary has not been properly informed. One, we must let them know what is coming.
The need for funding was also raised, as some say the change to digital operations by the Commission needs funding from the government.
You're watching CoreTV Prime Time News. Sabrina Izoku is standing by to bring you business news right after this break.
The global competitive map is changing with the rapid advancement of Africa. If you're not speaking to Africa this time, perhaps you're not speaking at all. Join the continent's leading public relations practitioners at the 26th edition of the All-African Public Relations Association Conference, APRA Mauritius 2014. Venue, Le Méridien Hotel, Point Oxpiment, Mauritius. Date, 27th to 31st May 2014. Theme, Advancing Africa. For further details, visit www.afapr.org. Africa, it's time to find your goals. Supported by...
This one wash challenge will test Ariel to see if it removes stains in one wash. Let the challenge begin. First, chocolate and juice. We will wash shirts with Ariel. Look, Ariel has cleaned in just one wash. So which detergent removes stains in one wash? Ariel, P&G Everyday Quality Brand.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ghana. Please remain seated and ensure your seatbelts are fastened. You can now turn on your MTN mobile phone data to enjoy a browsing rate of 5 kobo per kilobyte with MTN One World. Thank you.
Absolutely. Browse like home with MTN One World. Surfing the web from any MTN operating country costs the same like home. Enjoy affordable rates when you call and send text messages. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Hello there, welcome to Business News. I am Sabrina Izoku. The Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola has said that street trading is the major cause of traffic gridlock in the state. Fashola made this statement at the closing ceremony of the 5th Lagos State Tradesmen and Artisans Week. He advised artisans to adopt modern ways of carrying out their trades. Abiola Oluwole was there and brought back this report and is presented from our studio.
Artisans across Lagos gathered for the grand finale of the annual Artisans Week. The forum is a platform for the small and medium-scale entrepreneurs to bring to the notice of the government challenges that impede their success.
We are requesting the following parting gifts from our Excellency. 1. Training of additional 2,500 artisans and traders. 2. A plot of land for our secretariat.
Expressing the readiness of the state government to address the challenges the artisans face in their daily activities, Governor Fashola urged them to be more organized as they carry out their businesses. Fashola says the government is losing huge amounts of money to businesses operating outside those captured in the statistical data of the state.
The transactions that they are involved in real estate is estimated to be about $45 billion, and this economy has no record of it. What's going on? That is about 7.2 trillion naira, and that is about 14 times the state budget if we use our 2012 budget as the basis.
It is expected that forums like this will help improve small and medium-scale enterprises, thereby making more people financially independent and creating more jobs.
The Nigerian Society of Engineers Egbin branch in Lagos has tasked the federal government on effective supply of gas to the power plants in the country. Chairman of the branch, Larry Sadiq, made this known at the branch 2014 Engineering Week celebration in Lagos. He reiterated the lack of gas supply was responsible for power supply in the country. Sadiq wants the federal government to improve on gas supply to all power plants in the country in order to generate tremendous improvement in electricity supply. He also called for the expansion of the existing grid so that it could evacuate energy generated from all power plants. The equity market closed Thursday on a positive note as the Nigerian Stock Exchange All Shares Index appreciated by 1.15% to close at 39,552.99 basis points, compared with the depreciation of minus 0.15% recorded previously. Market capitalization increased by 1.15% to close at 13.06 trillion naira. However, market turnover closed positive with 185.81% as 3.11 million ordinary shares worth 3.71 billion naira were traded in 4,610 deals. Nestle topped the gainers list, followed by the Fort Oil, Mobil PLC, Nigerian Brewers PLC, Cadbury PLC, while Better Glass, Carbertin, PZ, Nascon, and ETI made the top 5 losers list. Meanwhile, here are the top 5 trades. And that's it on business news. Over to you, Brownson. It looks like you're all ready to take the baton from me. Over to you.
All right, thanks for joining us on Sport News tonight. My name is Brownson Owana. As Nigeria step up preparations for August FIFA Women's World Cup build for Canada, Coach Peter Dedevo has asked 6 players to leave the camp for not meeting up to required standard. The camp players are Lillian Atula from Taraba Queens, David Florence from Tewo Queens, Sidi Ajibola from FC Robo, Uchegbo Chidimma from Yaba Queens, and Ayomide Ojo from Police Team Lagos. While Fasila Tadeyemo was shown the exit door for failing to show up 3 weeks after the camp resumed. The team will face Sunshine Queens in a warm-up game built for Akure Township Stadium on Wednesday, May 28. Nigeria will face England, Mexico, Korea Republic in Group C of the preliminary stage of the 2014 FIFA Women's World Cup. And of course, I'm still sticking to the qualifying series. Flying Eagles coach Manu Garba has ruled out Granada striker Isaac Success from his team that would be playing on Saturday in Kaduna. Report says that Flying Eagles will take on Tanzania in the second leg of round qualifiers at the Ahmadu Bello Stadium. It would be recalled that the national under-20 team won the first leg 2-0 in Dar es Salaam Stadium a fortnight ago. A statement by team media officer Sam Modo says Success was due to join the team as he promised, but is still being held back by his club in Spain. And away from that, we go straight to Brazil 2014, where Luis Suarez faces a race to be fit for the World Cup final in Brazil after it was reported that the striker requires surgery following a knee injury. The 27-year-old Liverpool striker will have keyhole surgery to repair damage to his knee. Estimates to his recovery range from 15 days to a minimum of 4 weeks. Uruguay play England on 19 June in Sao Paulo after their Group D opener against Costa Rica on June 14th. And finally, on Sport News tonight, Ferrari's Fernando Alonso headed Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes to set the pace in a dry second practice in Monaco Grand Prix. The Spaniard beat Hamilton by 0.149 seconds in a frantic final 10 minutes of dry running after heavy rain disrupted the season. Red Bull Sebastian Vettel was third with 0.16 seconds behind Hamilton. Meanwhile, Formula One's preliminary car designer Andrea Newey has ended speculations about a move to Ferrari, saying he will stay with Red Bulls. And that's Sport News tonight. Eboloma will be back for the rest of the news. Stay with us.
Thank you so much for being there with us on CoreTV Prime Time News. For more on our news and other programs, you can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/CoreTV News. Also on Twitter, CoreTV News NG. On YouTube, www.youtube.com/CoreTV Space News. And outside Nigeria, Thailand's army chief seized power in a military coup, deposing the elected government and plunging the country into uncertainty after months of deadly political strife. General Prayut Chan-Ocha made the announcement in a televised address to the nation, saying the armed forces had to act to restore stability in the deeply divided Southeast Asian nation. He said power would be held by the committee, which he will lead. Moments before the stunning announcement, witnesses say they saw leaders of Thailand's two main political parties, as well as its rival protest movements, being taken by the military from a venue where Prayut had convened talks aimed at resolving their differences. But it was unclear if they had been formally detained. Prayut says he seized power due to the violence in Bangkok and many parts of the country that resulted in loss of innocent lives and property and was likely to escalate. The announcement came shortly after the opposing camps and other top political actors had gathered for the second straight day of reconciliation talks at a heavily guarded military
telling you the truth, that I don't know anything at all. You are the people who see the scene, but I'm in the hall.
China and Russia blocked a draft UN security resolution to refer Syria to the International Criminal Court for war crimes committed by both sides in its civil war. Western powers are pressed for the resolution in the face of mounting atrocities in Syria, including chemical attacks, systemic torture, barrel bombings and blocked aid access. It is the fourth time both countries have blocked Western resolutions relating to the three-year conflict in Syria. The 13 other members of the Security Council voted in favor. United States Ambassador Samantha Power told the Council that as a result of the vetoes, the Syrian will not shreds from the testimony of those seeking justice in Syria. Power says the veto protects not only the Syrian regime but terrorist groups as well.
The decision by the Russian Federation to back the Syrian regime, no matter what it does, the Syrian people will not see justice today. They will see crime, but...
Russia launched a furious protest with Britain after Prince Charles reportedly compared President Vladimir Putin to Adolf Hitler, with Moscow saying the comments were unworthy of a king in waiting. The Russian deputy ambassador to London went to the Foreign Office for urgent talks following the reported remarks by the heir to the throne during a trip to Canada. Charles made the apparently unguarded comment, which drew a parallel between Hitler and Putin's action in Ukraine during a private conversation with a Polish-born woman on a trip to a museum. Britain's Foreign Office confirmed that the talks had started. The Prince's office, Clarence House, declined to comment on the Russian reaction when contacted, but said Charles would not seek to make a public political statement during a private conversation. And with that report, we've come to the end of CoreTV Primetime News. But before we go, another look at the top stories. Police halt plan by a civil coalition group to march on the presidential villa in protest over the abducted Chibok girls. Protests grow over abducted Chibok girls as teachers abandon classrooms for the streets across the country. And that's the news for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. I am Ebulomo Adekunle. Have a pleasant night rest.